the What It Takes Radio Company. Hey, our flagship program, the Interesting Ideas Podcast. And today, here we go, the debate. Always wait 72 hours. Now, we were really frightened and afraid on 9/11. And then let's talk about the 4S things that you need to have to do life and business today. Here we go. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome to Interesting Ideas. And this is Stan Houston. And this is, right, 9/11, September 11th. And we all remember that date. If we have any cognizance, we're anywhere in the world, and we think about that, and we'll mention that briefly today. Also, the debate was yesterday, and there's a mixed results for both Kamala Harris and for Donald Trump. And lots of people are telling you what to think, who won, or whatever. Don't listen to them. Wait 72 hours and see what happens. That's a line, it's a way of life that I've always used, and I shouldn't say always. When I finally got, when I wasn't young and stupid anymore, wait and see. A lot can happen in 72 hours. And it could be that what we thought happened didn't happen, or didn't happen the way we thought, or the results aren't what we thought. We will know more in 72 hours. And then we will see. And please keep in mind is that something, even when Donald Trump was shot, the news cycle was 3 to 4 days. And then after that, it was kind of forgotten. And also, as a longtime media guy, let me tell you that any kind of media event like the debate it's not the debate or the event or the show itself. It is actually what happens afterwards that makes the difference. Because if it's a well-attended program and it's well performed, the way people converse and the way they talk and the things they come up with will change a great deal of the perceptions that will be formed as a result of the event. So nothing more to say about it except I'll wait 72 hours and I'll see what happens. My general impression is that events like that really don't make a whole lot of difference. They are show places and show pieces, and I point out what they are. They're radio and television shows. And even though I'm in that business, please remember, for the most part, don't take them too seriously. Yeah. For instance, here I am in the radio studio. Well, of course, it's not really the radio studio. It's fake. You know that. This is AI generated, so I don't have a big, huge studio like that. It's like what AI and artificial intelligence and all of the things that go into how we do media today. This isn't real. This isn't real at all. It's just appearance. And I kind of like it. It's fun to maybe think that I really have all of that stuff, though I don't know why I would want to, or what good it would do, or if it would make me a better broadcaster if I did have all of that stuff. Probably not. 9/11. I remember when I heard the news. Almost everybody does. It's kind of like, where were you when you heard about JFK when he was shot? Again, I remember that. See how old I am? Now, I didn't remember Pearl Harbor. And I was told that that was something that those people who, they remember exactly when they heard that the Japanese had attacked Pearl Harbor. And 9/11 kind of framed it quite differently for me and for my wife and I, because we have a daughter who was living in New York City. And what happened? Well, of course, the cell phones were clogged immediately. So We didn't know where she was in New York. We knew she had an apartment that was reasonably close to the area of the World Trade Center, but we didn't know, and we couldn't get through to her. However, then she did finally get through, and she informed us that one of her current gentleman friends at that time had actually had an appointment for breakfast at the World Trade Center. And of course, we don't know, we hadn't heard from him. And so, both in her life and our life, there was a great deal of anxiety. Oh my goodness, what is that? What's going to happen? What about Tom? What about Tom? Later on, we found out that Tom, who was one of those Wall Street, super hyper guys, uh, he was late for his breakfast appointment. Now, this guy isn't late. But he just happened to be late for his breakfast appointment that would have taken place at the top of the towers. He missed breakfast at the top of the towers. He wasn't there when the plane hit. Later on, the rumor was that the passport for one of the hijackers was actually found fallen on the roof of the apartment where my daughter had her apartment, her little New York apartment. I don't know if that was true, but that was kind of the rumors. But the thing was, we went and visited her within 2 weeks because, by the way, at that time, the airplane fares were really cheap because nobody was really going there. So we got there. And I still remember the plane turning and going up the Hudson River and on its way to LaGuardia. And we looked down and you could still see the flames, not really the flames, but certainly the smoke and rubble of the thing. And it was just awesomely scared, very terrible. Later on, as we roamed around New York City, there were hundreds of posters where people had put up pictures of their relatives. Have you seen? And that was really heart-rending. That was really just incredible. They all over. I mean, there were thousands of them. Of course, people who hadn't been able to find their relatives who were in the World Trade Center. They say one of the darkest moments was even that evening because obviously so many people had, in effect, they park their car at the train station and then take the train in to work in New York City. Well, of course, what happened is, come the evening, there were still a bunch of cars that were still parked in the parking lot. And of course, that told the story. They hadn't made it home. And they're not going to make it home. And so all of it, just the emotions of it, the whole thing. And I still remember, it's still a vivid picture in my heart and mind and spirit. And this was I didn't see this directly, but it was filmed. There was a little Asian woman, very, petite Asian woman, a little bit older, and she was holding up a picture and she was just screaming, "Has anyone seen my daughter? Has anyone seen my daughter? Has anyone seen my daughter?" And I just wept. Can you imagine the pain of all of that? Well, that's 23 years ago now, and a lot of the pain we'll still remember because obviously we understand it. And children who were small children. I remember the story of Todd Beamer, the guy who said, "Let's roll," and became a hero in helping take down Flight 93 before it hit the target in Washington. And his wife had 3 small children. Well, of course, those 3 small children that she's now widowed with, they're young men now, and I wonder how they're doing. How they're doing. Those are some of the memories of 9/11. And everybody has stories like that, and particularly for those of us who had connections in the New York City area. Well, let's, in a moment of deep prayer and thanksgiving for the goodness we have, uh, a moment of thoughts, prayers, and peace for those who still bear much of the pain of 9/11. And of course, there are still perhaps those people who dug through the rubble who are still dying from what was infected in their bodies that many years ago. And that's part of the world today. That was the start of the war on terror, which goes on and on and on yet today. Still a part of the world we live in. As someone pointed out, that what happened to the Israelis on October 7th was comparable, even much more comparable in terms of the number of people who died as opposed to the population. It was Israel's 9/11 plus on steroids. And of course, that was just almost a year ago. And that continues. The hostages are still taken, and the war continues to go on, and the dying continues to continue. It's a difficult world. It is indeed. And so we need to find our peace, and we need to find our passions, and we need to find ways to live well in the midst of the mess that we're in. I just want to share one thing today that might be helpful. Longtime business performance coach, many, many years. I've been doing this broadcasting for not a half century, but close. Isn't it great to be able to do what you love? And you can just keep doing it, like me. How lucky am I? So one of the things I tell people, I'm saying this now to people for a variety of reasons, is that the demands of our lives and our businesses are going to become more intense. They really are. The technology may make life easier, but it makes it much more complicated and harder to compete. And so what I'm saying now, as I was sharing with a group of people this morning, I said, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you have what I call 4 S places in your life and business. 4 S places. Well, let me tell you what they are, okay? First of all, you obviously need an office where you do your stuff, a stuff place, Hey, and make it a place as best you can and as neat as you can, and as, make it a good place to do the work. To give it that, all right? Now, do that. You have an office. But also, make sure you have a study. Yes, a place. Maybe even in your office space somewhere or in the building. This is where you study. You don't work. You read. You think. You pray. You write. A place just like it's called, a study. And that used to be something that men particularly had, men of substance, they could not only have their office, but they could also either maybe even in their home or some other place, they could have a study. Like even the White House, there is the Oval Office, but actually there is a small study. Obviously much smaller. It's not meant for anybody else to be there, but the president, maybe one other person in the study. Also, find a spirit site. Yeah, spirit site, a place. Probably not in your house or your home, but maybe where you can go to just kind of renew your spirit. Could be a retreat center, could be a church. I still remember in a lot of my work in London, that right next to the BBC Broadcasting House, there was the famous All Souls Church right across the street. And I was very much attentive to that, and it was not uncommon. The church was always open because there were people who came to the church and they just sat there, meditated, thought, maybe prayed. It was just it was a spirit sight. In Arizona, my wife often used to say to me, you need to go to the ranch, when I was up. And the ranch was my favorite place. It was White Stallion Ranch. It's a historic ranch. They were one of my clients. And I could come there and, just sit, think, ride a horse, just enjoy the beautiful weather and the beautiful desert, the beautiful scenery. It was just good for me. It was just one of my spirit sights. I could go there. Number 4, okay, stuff, study, spirit sight, studio. Yes, I'm telling men and women, particularly young men and women today, you need to learn what I know, at least part of what I know. You need to learn how to use the modern mass media. Just a radio guy. Got it right. You need to learn how to use the microphones. You need to learn how to use the cameras. You got to be able to understand how the media works. Like I was saying about the debate, you need to know about the 72-hour rule. You got to know not only how to do the media, but how the media can affect people. Just as, the people who invented Toastmasters, those people who said, you got to learn how to do a public speaking presentation. Right. Today, you need someone like me to come and help you understand how to use the modern media. So when you're a CEO and you've got to send a message out to your customers and clients, you don't try and write a memo. You go into your studio, you turn the camera on, and you make your message live and energy and full. You also know how to represent your company, how to represent your business, how to market yourself. Everybody needs to learn today how to use the modern mass media. You got to do it. And so it's nice to have the studio. Doesn't have to be complicated, very simple, very easy, but a place where you can just turn on the lights, turn on the switch, and produce something like this. Maybe even learning how to use your phone more effectively so that you don't just have a raw, totally rugged, rotten amateur thing from your camera studio. So there we go. I'm done for today on this 9/11. I've got things to do, people to see, and things to pray about. I really do. And probably you do too. So there we go. These are some of my thoughts for 9/11. I hope they have been helpful to you. I can help you. I really can, in some way. So reach out to me at stanhouston@gmail.com, stanhouston@gmail.com. I wish you all the best and blessings, and let me know how I can help you. Till next time, for interesting ideas, bye for now.